Hello and welcome, Reggie, to Humans of Reliability. I am excited to chat with you today, although we do already know each other. Now, the rest of the world gets to know Reggie a little bit. So, why
Absolutely.
don't we start off with a quick introduction? Let the people know who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. My name is Reginald Davis. Most people call me Reggie, and I am a senior site reliability engineer at Elastic.
Amazing. And I've noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on your LinkedIn, you also have the title technical lead. And I was wondering if you could talk a bit about what it means to be a tech lead, because I think this is a role we see a little bit more and more, and people aren't always sure kind of how that's distinct from maybe like a people manager. So what does that mean in your world?
So in our world, what technical lead means is I take on all of the technical decisions that our team encompasses. So whenever it's time to pick tooling or how we want to architect things or design things or mitigating things, typically the tech lead takes on the technical decisions that come with those responsibilities as a leader. So that's typically how we do. So all the technical stuff, tools, processes, everything that's technical falls under our purview.
Okay. And did you find you sort of grew into that role naturally, or was that an intentional like goal of yours? How did you end up moving into a tech lead role?
It was a very natural decision. I never kind of went into my career like, oh, I want to be a tech lead or anything like that. But it just kind of naturally kind of occurred as I kind of start picking up more skill sets and understanding more things and teaching other people across the team like how to do things and navigate certain problems. I kind of naturally just grew into a tech lead position.
Okay, very cool. And you hold degrees in biology and psychology, I see. Do you find your educational background has helped you build a career in tech, or was it more of just like a hard pivot into a total different world?
Yeah, so small career is so I had a degree in philosophy, and I think it's super important to make that distinction because philosophy is all about questioning and
Yeah.
things like that. And
Okay.
biology, I don't even use that degree. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, but philosophy for sure. It's funny because it was a very hard turn into technology. Like, but I think now that especially we're kind of in this world of AI and things of that nature, I think if anything, it's probably a very valuable skill set to have to be able to understand how to question and break things down and seek understanding of things. Because as these systems grow more and more complex, you got to ask more and more questions.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found talking with people, I feel like I would guess it's almost about 50-50 people who studied computer science, went down the infrastructure path versus people who came from totally different, educational background or work experience background. There's something about this space that I find there's a lot of different roads into it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And speaking of early career and career growth and stuff like that, in my pre-interview recon, I always do. I was creeping through your LinkedIn and all that good stuff, and I saw you've actually done a lot of really cool work supporting the Black tech community. And I was curious if there's any organizations you want to shout out that people should know about, or anything you think people should be more involved with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Since I've gotten into tech, I've always had taken a pretty big passion in regards to like getting more people who look like me or speak like me or whatever into the industry. And so I have a community called Tech for the Culture based here in Houston. And what we typically do, we typically have monthly events where we find other Black practitioners in the space, or really any practitioners that are actually willing to share their stories and their journeys in technology and create a safe space for people to be able to talk and discuss, their experiences in technology, hoping that we can bring in more people, as well as allow people to understand that, hey, you're not going through this journey by yourself. So definitely shout out to my group, Tech for the Culture, here in Houston.
And you have also done a fair bit of work from what I've seen in public speaking, interviews, stage talks, stuff like that. Did that come naturally to you, or was that something you challenged yourself to do? When did you start getting into it, and how did you, adapt to that?
Someone challenged me to do it. I had a former mentor, by the name of Bonnie, and she ran the Angular Houston group. And this is when I actually first started teaching myself how to program and become an engineer. And she challenged me. She said, you should give a talk. You should really give a talk. And I said, okay, like whatever. And I gave a talk. I struggled all the way through it, but I guess people saw that I had like a natural way of communicating. And I just kind of continue to try to challenge myself, getting on the stage, having more conversations, talking, even at work, I try to do it a lot. So it's just something that kind of came naturally. Somebody saw it in me, and I just was like, you know what? If you see it in me, maybe I should see it in myself. And I went for it.
I love that. Yeah. When you had reached out about planning a talk for SRECon, it just made perfect sense to me. I was like, of course, Reggie would be on a stage.
I
Uh,
appreciate that.
Another thing I saw while I was doing some digging is a piece you wrote a little while back. And this is totally a non work question, by the way. This is when we pivot into just getting to know you, which I always do in these interviews. So I saw that you had written a piece for DJ Booth about the hip hop scene in Houston and that that's something you're really passionate about. So I wanted to know, for somebody who is a fan of hip hop but maybe doesn't know the Houston scene very well, what artists would you suggest people listen to? Who should be on the map from Houston?
Wow, that's a great question. That is a really good question. Outside of the artists I
Awesome.
already know from Houston, like the Megan Thee Stallions, and Drake is like an unofficial resident of Houston. Um, I would say an artist from Houston that I think is really good that's kind of went under the radar. It's probably this guy named Max O'Cream. This guy, Max O'Cream, is from Southwest Houston. He's definitely from one of the more questionable areas of Houston. But he's built a really, really good career for himself. As well as I think he gives a very, very authentic perspective and view of Houston that I think most people don't really get exposed to. And I think he's a really, really good artist. He's one of my favorite underground artists. Well, I wouldn't say he's as underground as he used to be, but that was like one of my favorite artists definitely coming up. And I've seen his whole career like from like nothing to where it is now. So really good artist.
Okay, perfect. That will be on my list then. That was a
Here's
really,
the advisory note, by the way.
that's okay. All my playlists come with a parental advisory note.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. So that is the 5 questions I had laid out. But at the end, I always like to hand it over to you in case there's anything else you want to shout out. If there's anything you want to mention, personal blogs, talks, anything from your company, floor is yours. Free plug.
Absolutely. So I'm beginning the journey of getting back on YouTube. So for people who want to hear me talk more about SRE and technology and things like that, go check me out on YouTube. Other People's Computer. That's the name of the channel. Other People's Computer. You'll see my big shiny face on there. So definitely check me out there. As well as if you're in the Houston area, Texas in general, please come and check out Tech for the Culture. We have our meetup group. We have monthly get-togethers. So for anybody who just wants to come out, hang out, share their stories, talk noise about technology and kind of the state of it, all here for it. So
All right. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Reggie, for being on the show. Again, I don't know what to call this. The
I like it. This is cool. This is like an interview. It's like a quick like 5-question like breakdown, getting to know people. Like, most of the time people ask us about infrastructure and incidents and stuff like that. So this is cool.
Exactly. I like talking about that stuff too, but I found in this space there wasn't a lot of content that was a little just more lighthearted and fun and getting to know people. It can be the barrier to entry can feel really high, I think, from the outside when it's all like, here's a 90-minute webinar on Kubernetes. All of this, people are like, I don't really know. So yeah, we're trying to just bring something kind of light and fun. And thank you again for being a part of it.
Absolutely. No, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.